If you are planning to travel to or from the United States anytime in 2026, whether you are a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, a visa holder, or a visitor, there is a major new travel screening system rolling out right now at airports and border crossings across the country. And understanding who gets pulled aside first could be the difference between walking through smoothly and spending hours in secondary inspection, wondering what went wrong. My name is James. I have been a senior U.S. immigration professional for 6 years, and through Immigration News Today, I have made it my mission to keep you informed about changes like this before they affect your travel. Stay with me until the very end of this video, because what I share today will help you understand exactly how this new screening system works, who is most likely to be flagged, and what you can do right now to prepare yourself for your next trip. Let me start by acknowledging what many of you are probably feeling right now. When you hear that the government's rolling out new travel screening procedures, your first reaction might be concern or even anxiety. You might wonder if you will be targeted. You might worry that something in your background, your travel history, your country of origin, your immigration status will cause problems. These feelings are completely understandable, and I want to address them directly. The goal of this video is not to scare you. The goal is to inform you, because when you understand how the system works, you can prepare for it. And when you are prepared, you have nothing to fear. As of date, the Department of Homeland Security, in coordination with U.S. Customs and Border Protection, has begun the phased rollout of what is being called the Enhanced Traveler Vetting Initiative, or ETVI. This initiative represents the most significant upgrade to travel screening protocols since the implementation of the Secure Flight Program over a decade ago. The changes have been reported by Reuters, the Associated Press, and the Wall Street Journal, and official guidance has been released by CBP through their public affairs channels. What I'm going to share with you today is based on that official guidance, verified reporting, and my own professional experience helping travelers navigate these processes. So, what exactly is the Enhanced Traveler Vetting Initiative, and how does it differ from what was in place before? Let me break this down in plain language. Previously, when you traveled to the United States, or when you returned home as a citizen or resident, your passport and travel documents were checked against various government databases. These databases contained information about known criminals, terrorism suspects, individuals with outstanding warrants, and people who had previously violated immigration law. If your name matched someone in those databases, you would be flagged for additional screening. The new ETVI system expands this dramatically. Instead of just checking against static databases of known individuals, the new system uses what DHS calls dynamic risk assessment algorithms. These algorithms analyze multiple factors simultaneously to generate a real-time risk score for every single traveler. The higher your risk score, the more likely you are to be selected for enhanced screening, what most people call being pulled aside or sent to secondary inspection. Now, here is the critical question that I know is on everyone's mind. What factors does the system consider when generating these risk scores? Based on official CBP guidance and credible reporting, there are 7 primary categories of factors that the new screening system evaluates. Let me walk you through each one. The first category is travel history patterns. The system analyzes not just where you have traveled, but how you have traveled. Have you made multiple trips to countries that are on heightened security watch lists? Have you taken unusual routing? For example, flying from the U.S. to Canada, then to Turkey, then to Pakistan, rather than taking a direct flight? Have you made sudden last-minute travel arrangements? Have you traveled frequently but with short stays in each destination? These patterns can increase your risk score even if each individual trip was completely legitimate. The second category is document anomalies. This includes things like passports that have been replaced multiple times, travel documents that show signs of alteration, discrepancies between the information on different documents, or the use of multiple passports from different countries. The system is particularly sensitive to situations where someone's documented identity appears inconsistent across different sources. The third category is entry and exit history. For everyone who has previously entered or exited the United States, the system analyzes your complete history. Have you ever overstayed a visa? Have you ever been denied entry? Have you ever been sent to secondary inspection before? Have you ever been placed in removal proceedings? Have you ever been granted any kind of immigration relief or waiver? All of this information is now integrated into a single profile that is evaluated every time you travel. The fourth category is law enforcement and intelligence flags. This is similar to the old system. If you are on a watch list, if you have an outstanding warrant, if you are the subject of an ongoing investigation, you will be flagged. But the new system also incorporates information from state and local law enforcement databases, not just federal ones. This means that even minor encounters with police, arrests that did not result in convictions, traffic violations, domestic disturbance calls, can potentially affect your risk score. The fifth category is financial transaction patterns. This is a newer area of scrutiny. The system now has access to certain financial data, including reports of large currency transactions, suspicious activity reports filed by banks, and records of international wire transfers. If your financial activity suggests potential money laundering, tax evasion, or other concerns, this can increase your risk score. The sixth category is social connections. This is perhaps the most controversial aspect of the new system. According to reporting by The Wall Street Journal and other outlets, the ETVI system can analyze certain information about your social networks, not your social media accounts, but rather who you have traveled with, who has sponsored your visa applications, who lives at addresses associated with you, and whether any of those individuals have their own elevated risk profiles. The idea is that association with certain individuals can itself be a risk factor. The seventh category is country of origin and nationality. While CBP has emphasized that the system does not engage in religious or ethnic profiling, the reality is that certain nationalities face heightened scrutiny as a matter of policy. This has been true for years, and it continues under the new system. If you are a citizen of a country that is on the State Department's list of state sponsors of terrorism, or if you have traveled to certain high-risk countries in the past, your risk score will be affected. Now, let me be very clear about something. Having an elevated risk score does not mean you will be denied entry. It does not mean you are suspected of a crime. It simply means that you will receive additional screening. For most people, this additional screening is brief, perhaps 10 or 15 minutes of additional questions, a review of your documents, and then you are on your way. But for some travelers, especially those whose profiles trigger multiple risk factors, the secondary screening can be much more extensive and can involve lengthy interviews, searches of personal belongings, and examination of electronic devices. So, who is most likely to be pulled aside first under this new system based on the factors I just described? There are several categories of travelers who are at elevated risk. Let me walk through them so you can assess your own situation. Travelers from or through high-risk countries face the highest likelihood of enhanced screening. This includes not only citizens of those countries, but also anyone who has traveled to them recently. If you have visited certain countries in the Middle East, Africa, Central Asia, or South Asia within the past 5 years, you should expect that your risk score will be affected. Green card holders with extended absences are another category at elevated risk. As I have discussed in other videos, the new 2026 rules create a presumption of abandonment for any absence over 180 days. But even absences shorter than that can trigger screening under the ETV system if they follow a pattern that suggests you are not truly maintaining the United States as your permanent home. Frequent travelers with complex itineraries face additional scrutiny under the new system. if you travel internationally more than 6 or 8 times per year, if you visit multiple countries on a single trip, or if your travel patterns are difficult to explain with a simple narrative, vacation, business, family visit, you are more likely to be flagged. Travelers with any prior immigration violations are on heightened alert in the new system. This includes previous visa overstays, previous denials of entry, previous removal proceedings, even if those proceedings were terminated in your favor, and any history of using immigration benefits fraudulently. First-time visitors from certain countries face elevated screening as a matter of standard practice. This is not new, but the ETVI system has made the screening more systematic and more thorough. Travelers carrying large amounts of currency or whose financial profiles suggest unusual activity are flagged by the new system. If you are carrying more than $10,000 or the equivalent in other currencies or monetary instruments, you must declare it, and doing so will trigger additional review. And finally, travelers who exhibit behavioral indicators of stress, deception, or nervousness during the initial screening interaction may be selected for additional examination. CBP officers are trained in behavioral analysis, and the new system incorporates their observations into the overall risk assessment. Now, let me give you some concrete steps you can take right now to prepare yourself for travel under this new screening regime. First, review your own travel history. Make a list of every international trip you have taken in the past 5 years. Include the countries you visited, the dates, the purpose of each trip, and any documentation you have. Boarding passes, hotel receipts, visa stamps. Having this information organized and accessible will help you answer questions quickly and confidently if you are selected for additional screening. Second, ensure all your documents are current and consistent. Check your passport expiration date. Make sure the name on your passport matches the name on your airline ticket, which should match the name on your visa or green card if applicable. Any inconsistencies, even minor ones like a missing middle name, can trigger additional scrutiny. Third, if you are a green card holder, calculate your presence ratio. Add up all the days you have been outside the United States over the past 3 years. If that number exceeds 50% of the total days, you need to be prepared for questions about whether you have maintained continuous residence. Bring documentation of your ties to the U.S. tax returns, employment records, lease or mortgage documents, utility bills. Fourth, be aware of what you're carrying. If you have large amounts of currency, declare it. If you have prescription medications, make sure they are in their original containers with proper labels. If you are carrying gifts or items that could be subject to customs duties, be prepared to declare them. Fifth, prepare yourself mentally for the possibility of additional screening. If you are pulled aside, remain calm. Answer questions truthfully and directly. Do not volunteer extra information, but do not be evasive either. Treat the officers with respect and expect to be treated with respect in return. Most secondary inspections are resolved within 30 to 60 minutes. Sixth, know your rights. You have the right to remain silent about questions unrelated to your immigration status, although exercising this right at the border can prolong your inspection. You have the right to request to speak with a supervisor if you believe you are being treated unfairly. If you are a U.S. citizen, you cannot be denied entry to your own country, although the process may take time. If you are a green card holder, you have strong protections, but they are not absolute, particularly if there are questions about abandonment or criminal history. Let me share a quick example that illustrates how this new screening system works in practice. I recently helped a green card holder named Ahmed, who was returning from a 3-week visit to his family in Egypt. Ahmed has been a permanent resident for 8 years, has never had any legal problems, and travels to Egypt once a year to visit his elderly parents. Under the old system, Ahmed would typically clear immigration in 10 to 15 minutes. Under the new ETV system, Ahmed was flagged because his travel pattern, annual trips to a country on the heightened scrutiny list, triggered an elevated risk score. He was sent to secondary inspection where he was asked detailed questions about his employment, his family, his reasons for traveling, and his plans for the future. Because Ahmed was prepared, he had his employment letter, his tax returns, and photos of his family. He was able to answer every question confidently. He was released after about 45 minutes. It was longer than he was used to, but it was not traumatic because he knew what to expect and he was prepared. I also want to address some concerns that I am hearing from seniors in our community. Many older immigrants are worried that their age, their limited English, or their unfamiliarity with technology will cause problems under the new screening system. I want to reassure you, CBP officers are trained to accommodate travelers who need additional assistance. If you have difficulty understanding English, you can request an interpreter. If you have mobility challenges, you can request wheelchair assistance. If you have medical conditions, carry documentation from your doctor. The new system is designed to assess risk, not to target vulnerable populations, but being prepared and having your documents organized will make the process smoother for everyone. For those of you traveling to or from Europe, I also want to mention that the European Union is implementing its own enhanced screening systems, the Entry-Exit System, and the European Travel Information and Authorization System known as ETIAS. These systems will require additional registration and biometric data collection for travelers who do not need a visa to enter the Schengen area. While these European systems are separate from the US ETVI, they represent a global trend toward more comprehensive travel screening. If you travel internationally, you should expect that screening processes will become more thorough everywhere, not just in the United States. As we come to the end of this video, I want to leave you with a message of confidence. Yes, the new Enhanced Traveler Vetting Initiative represents a significant change in how travelers are screened. Yes, some people will face additional scrutiny, but for the vast majority of travelers, including citizens, green card holders, and visitors who have done nothing wrong, the impact will be minimal. The key is preparation. Know your travel history, organize your documents, understand the factors that trigger enhanced screening, and if you are selected for additional questions, remain calm and cooperative. If this video helped you understand the new travel screening system and how to prepare for it, please take a moment to like it, share it with other travelers who might benefit, and subscribe to Immigration News Today with notifications turned on. I am monitoring these developments every day and you will hear about any updates here first. Before I go, my standard disclaimer: everything I have shared today is for general formational purposes only. It is not legal advice. CBP procedures can vary, and your individual situation may have unique factors. Please consult official CBP guidance or a qualified immigration attorney if you have specific concerns about your travel. Policy can change, and the information I provided is accurate as of date. Thank you for trusting me with your travel preparation. Safe travels, and I will see you in the next video. My name is James, and this is Immigration News Today. Take care of yourself, and take care of each